Hey everybody, this is my opinion, and today we're going to be looking at yet another election day prediction video. A couple of ground rules before we get started. Number one is I'm going to try my hardest not to consult any state or national polls. I think that the only thing polls are good for are dissuading voters and giving me quick panic attacks. Second, I'm only going to be rating each of these states based off of my limited state electoral history, my knowledge, my limited current events knowledge, and ultimately what I'm feeling in my gut right at this moment. The gut can be a very reliable thing, and I've been working on trying to trust mine more. Another thing is while a lot of people tend to do the whole ranking based off of tilt or lean or likely numbers, first of all, this map doesn't allow me to do that. It has two simple colors, red or blue. But I wouldn't want to color code based off of likeliness anyways, because ultimately I want these predictions to come down to where I think it's going to fall, no matter how close the numbers are. I will probably talk about whether I think numbers are going to come very close, because there are a lot of states where that's going to happen. Well, there's a few states where that's going to happen. But me shading in each of these states, it's going to come down to where I think it's going to be in the end, which state goes to which candidate, and that's it. And finally, this enhanced visibility thing right here, I'm not using that because this border business here hurts my eyes. All right, let's get started. Well, I think I'm going to start in the East Coast and work my way over to the West. So, Maine, we're already starting with a complicated one. It's not really all that complicated, except for how it splits up its votes on two bases, statewide and then congressional districts. So, Maine, Kamala Harris is taking that statewide. All right, she's taking that statewide, and then she will be taking the more urban area of the first congressional district. Trump, however, is heavily favored to take the more rural second congressional district. All right, New Hampshire. So, had Biden still been in the race, I would have given him New Hampshire anyways. But I think it would have been a very close race to the point that it should have made Democrats uncomfortable. Harris is in now, and I think she is pulling that back from the brink. I think she is bringing New Hampshire back comfortably into her corner. Vermont, it was never a question. That's going to Kamala Harris. Massachusetts, I might as well just click these squares here. Massachusetts, Kamala Harris. Rhode Island, Kamala Harris. Connecticut, Kamala Harris. New Jersey. So this is weird actually, because people have been talking about New Jersey potentially going into the Trump corner, mainly because of Senator Bob Menendez running as potentially an independent. I don't even think that's happening though. I think he's just outright resigning from Congress or Senate in shame. So there's not a chance it's going Republican now or anytime soon. That is going to Kamala Harris, no problem. Delaware, yep, Kamala Harris. Maryland, the Senate race might be a little bit interesting. I think that's going to go Democrat still. I think Larry Hogan might make it a little competitive, maybe not, but presidential, it's going to Kamala Harris. And D.C., definitely going to Kamala Harris, no question. Okay, New York and Kamala Harris. So as you can see, except for that little blip there in Maine, all of the New England area and New York and stuff, that's all going to Kamala Harris. She has a very quick and easy 90 electoral points. So, Pennsylvania. I'm going to talk about Pennsylvania towards the end. And the same goes for Michigan and Wisconsin. All these Rust Belt states here, those are going to be held back for the end. However, we will look at Virginia right now. Virginia is brought back into the Kamala Harris corner. I don't know. I probably could have been convinced in the end that maybe Trump had a chance of pulling it over by a point or two to his side had Biden stayed in it. Biden's not in it anymore. So Kamala Harris brought that back into her corner. I think people in Virginia, Democrat voters, are a little bit relieved that they have a different candidate to choose. All right. West Virginia. There has never been a more Republican state these past couple of election cycles. If there was any state you would call the Republican state, it is West Virginia, easily a Trump state. Ohio, probably the second most definite Trump state over here, actually, very easily. Sometimes I question why he chose J.D. Vance as his VP because obviously it wasn't to win Ohio. It was going to happen anyways. But there it is. All right. Kentucky, definitely in the Trump corner. Indiana, definitely in the Trump corner. Tennessee, definitely in the Trump corner. North Carolina, I would hold this back over until the end because it is a swing state by definition. But I'm gonna give it to Trump now because he won it in the last two election cycles. He didn't improve his numbers in 2020 compared to 2016. Biden brought him a little bit closer, but North Carolina, I think, has been trending Republican enough that while the governor race might be a different story, presidential wise, it is in Trump's corner, and I'm comfortable saying that now. South Carolina, also very comfortable saying that's a Trump state. Georgia, I'm not holding it over to the end. I am going to give it to Trump right now. Yes, Atlanta is a very fast growing city. It is rapidly increasing in younger people, college educated people. It it's complicated. I know Biden won that by a mere, like, was it a quarter percentage point? But I think after the 4 years with Biden in the White House and this quick, sudden switcheroo with presidential nominees on the Democrat side, I don't think there's enough time for the Democrats to recover. I think Trump has brought it back over into his corner. Now, I think Kamala Harris will perform better than Biden would have because she'll be polling a lot of that young and college educated and minority group vote. But I don't believe it's going to be enough to win over Trump. All right, Florida. So there would have been talk about this being a swing state maybe a year ago. It is not anymore. DeSantis turned it into a stronghold. Um, I hear rumblings that the Democrats might think it's in play. I don't know. I don't know how valid that is. I don't know if it's worth the money expenditure. Maybe you can try and close the gap a little bit, but it's not happening. There's no way I think that Trump is losing, or I don't think there's any way that Trump wins by less than like 8 or 9 points this election cycle. Alabama, what do you think? Mississippi, what do you think? Louisiana, definitely Trump. And I think Louisiana has actually become even more of a Republican stronghold, what with Jeff Landry winning the governorship in the first round of the gubernatorial race. Arkansas, yeah, definitely Trump state. Missouri, yes, definitely a Trump state. And Josh Hawley, he's going to win his seat very easily too. Illinois, okay, so, oh, I'm sorry, Illinois, whatever. Definitely going to Kamala Harris. So what I really didn't realize about Illinois was that most of it is actually rural. It's just that one little Chicago that has like a vast majority of the population. I never thought of it before. I always thought Illinois was like kind of littered here and there with urbanite areas, but nope. Nope, I obviously don't know my state makeups now and again. Iowa. Once considered a swing state long ago, no longer. It is safely in the Trump category. Minnesota. So Minnesota's going to Kamala Harris. Minnesota was going to go to the Democrats anyways. Um, there was concern about how Biden and probably Kamala Harris's stance on Israel would have lost them a lot of Muslim votes, and it probably still could. But Minnesota hasn't voted Republican since 1972, and it's not going to do it this election cycle either. All right, let's see. Like I said, I'm saving these three Rust Belters for the end. North Dakota, definitely going to Trump. South Dakota, definitely going to Trump. And you want to know what both North Dakota and South Dakota and my subscription count have in common? Is they have a total of population of about 23. So if you like this video, go ahead and consider subscribing. Also, definitely consider commenting below, letting me know what you think, whether you agree, disagree, think I'm a Trump shill who doesn't know English. By all means, let me know what you guys think. All right. Back down to it. Nebraska. Okay, so I made a mistake before of ignoring the congressional districts. This and Maine are the only states that do it. So, statewide, and I believe it is the first and third congressional districts Trump is winning. If I recall correctly, Omaha, which I used to think was in Texas. I wasn't always good at this whole map thing, this country thing, but Omaha, I believe, is located in the second congressional district. That is likely going to Kamala Harris. So while Trump gets a single electoral vote from Maine, while Kamala Harris takes it all, Trump gets all of Nebraska except for that one congressional district going to Kamala Harris. All right, let's go down to Kansas. Definitely a Trump state. Oklahoma, definitely a Trump state. Texas, definitely a Trump state. And out of all of these out of all these states that might have once been hopeful for Democrats, like Texas, Florida, North Carolina, I think Texas was always the most likely to stay red. Maybe Florida, but I'm thinking Texas. All right, and while we're covered a little bit over half the states here, let's go up here and see that Donald Trump is already at 231 to Kamala Harris is 133. Of course, it's going to narrow a whole lot once we get over to the West Coast. But let's continue up. Well, up from down. New Mexico. Yay! It's definitely going to Kamala Harris. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer. This election cycle, it definitely would have been closer with Biden, but it was always going to be a Democrat state. I know Republicans had kind of always been a little bit hopeful about bringing that in to a tilt Republican flip, but it's not happening anytime soon. And the same goes for Colorado. Colorado is actually more gone for them than New Mexico is. Let's face that. Wyoming, uh, one of the safest Republican states possible. Montana, also very safe Republican. The Senate race, by the way, is going to be extremely interesting here. My money is on Sheehy winning that as well, pulling it over Tester by maybe 3 or 4 points. Idaho, definitely Republican. Utah, definitely Republican. Arizona, we're saving this to the end. Nevada, we're saving this until the end. And here we go. Washington, boom, Kamala Harris. Oregon, boom, Kamala Harris. And then you ready for this? California, boom, Kamala Harris. All right, and if you look at our totals now, that little bump up on the West Coast brings her up to 222 to Trump's 248. Remember, our magic number is 270. Down here, we got Alaska going to Trump easily. The congressional race is going to be super interesting too. I'm excited to see how that plays out. But Alaska, definitely safe for Trump. Hawaii, definitely safe for Kamala Harris. All right, so we're sitting at 226 electoral votes for Kamala, 251 for Trump. And now let's talk about the states that literally every single person on YouTube, on the news, the 5 states that everybody is always talking about: Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Um, I'm going to start over in the West and move over. So, Nevada, originally I would have given it to the Democrats. I didn't realize how rightward it was trending. It's not like a huge earth-shattering trend, but it's a slow burn kind of. They share a lot of the same border concerns as say Arizona and Texas do, and I think with that said, and the unfavorability of Kamala Harris, Trump too, but I think they're either tied in unfavorability or Kamala Harris might be down a little bit more. Regardless, I think Nevada has a better chance of squeaking over to the Republicans this time around than to the Democrats. It would be a little bit of a change up and just 6 electoral votes, but every vote counts in the end, right? I'm sorry, I haven't been drinking anything all night. Arizona. Okay, so I think I'm a little bit more comfortable putting Arizona in the Republican corner than I would be Nevada, just because Arizona's been a little bit more traditionally Republican, except for the fact that it's been trending purple as of late. But I think the border crisis is just a little bit too overwhelming for Democrats to be able to save themselves in this state. It's going to be a hold your nose and vote kind of situation in Arizona, especially in their relationship with Trump. But I think that's exactly what's going to happen. They're holding their nose, they're voting for Trump over Kamala Harris in Arizona. and that puts Donald Trump 2 points away from the 270 win. And Kamala Harris, we still have, what is that, 44 votes away. All right, so over here in the Rust Belt, I'm going to get Pennsylvania right out of the way because honestly, this will probably be the deciding state when it all comes down to it. I'm putting it in the Trump category. I know. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody likes hearing that. And you can already close the video here because I have Donald Trump winning. Look, Pennsylvania, the assassination attempt is going to bring out every single, like, Trump and conservative voter possible. And it'll probably even bring out the Republicans who are quiet Trump voters, who do not like Trump but also don't like Democrats, and people trying to shoot up people in their state for political gain, okay? It's going to be a close race, probably like 2016, probably. But I don't. My gut's telling me Kamala Harris just doesn't pull it out in Pennsylvania. Philadelphia she needs to seriously overperform in Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh area. Meanwhile, I see it's more likely that Trump not only gets out the best performance in the rural areas, but he squeaks out a lot of help in places like Center County, like Erie, around Pittsburgh. I'm not going to talk about Philadelphia for him. That's a Kamala Harris thing. Okay, over in Michigan, and I feel like I need to say, everybody talks about how Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania all vote in unison every presidential election cycle. Therefore, if one goes one way, they all do. I'm not doing that. Um, Electoral history behind it? Yes. My gut telling me? No. And what am I trying to do? Trust my gut. And besides, things can change, right? Michigan. Michigan is going to Kamala Harris. I am, at this point, I'm settled with that opinion. I think Kamala Harris is pulling Michigan over into her corner. It is the most Democratic out of the three. You've probably heard that said before, and I think that is true. It has trended leftward the most out of these three, too. I think Michigan is just not going to stomach Trump again. And then Wisconsin. Wisconsin is kind of the most difficult because, for me to judge, anyways, because it is probably the most moderate of the three, I would think. But people keep saying that their economic interests are far above any other issues faced as far as the rest of the country goes. I don't know what merit there is to that. I think Wisconsin would probably have the closest margin of the three of these the Rust Belt trio. Okay, I personally believe Wisconsin is going to go to Trump again. I think that Kamala Harris is just a little less palatable of a candidate than Trump. Again, they're both going to be unpalatable to these swing states. But I think Kamala Harris just doesn't have it in her to pull the majority of Wisconsin voters. It's going to be a mashup of people holding their nose to vote for Trump, people leaving the Democrat Party to vote for Kennedy. And that stuff can happen on the Republican side too, but not to the extent that it happens for Democrats. That's just where I'm putting this. And then in the end here, you see I have Donald Trump 297, Kamala Harris 241. Yes, I believe in my gut that Donald Trump is going to win the presidency, become our 47th president, and also lose the popular vote all the while we're at it. But of course, as we should all know, the popular vote doesn't mean squat for a presidential race. And there it is, guys. All right. Please, if you have any opinions whatsoever, good, bad, unrelated to anything I was talking about, telling me to learn how to spell or something, post it down below. I'd love to read them and not respond to them unless, there's something I'd really like to strike up with you. Consider subscribing if you like what you saw, and I will talk to you guys later. All right, this has been my opinion, and you have a good day.